Hi everyone, this is Stillhead. You might know me as Alex, you may also know me as Different, a previous alias. I wanted to start putting together some videos that were me discussing things that were relevant to artists and building a fan base and understanding how to promote yourself in the same vein as my howtoselfrelease.com website. So what I thought I would do is take one of my most recent articles about whether or not you need an artist website and just deliver it to you with a bit of insight and possibly look at putting some visuals up on screen and that sort of thing. So I've written a lot in the past about artist websites, and my opinion as a website designer and also in both of the courses that I've written on whether you need one has always been yes. I think it's important that artists have websites, whether or not it's just a place that people visit to go elsewhere, or whether it's a fully fledged website with all sorts of information, and that'll vary depending on what type of artist you are and how much you think that you need. But in the past year or two, I've started seeing the rise of these one-page websites that are just links listed. So Linktree is a good example, and definitely one of the more commonly used ones. I imagine you'll be familiar with them since they're generally, you see them quite often in Instagram bio links, and they're generally just a page with a title and a list of links out to whatever content is deemed necessary, usually social media sites or like a recent release or mix or something like that. Now, far from being a fully fledged website, I think they are getting more and more popular. I think they solve the problem of having somewhere to collect all your social links, and they're definitely far easier to set up than a normal website for a lot of people who are maybe not tech savvy. The downside, though, is that a lot of these Linktree type websites, they have the inability to bring anything special into things like the design or the build. For example, an email setup to get people to sign up to your mailing list, or like a large bio section or booking information, or even like a tour schedule. And no doubt some of the Linktree type services will get in touch with me and say, oh no, but our premium offering is you can put in newsletters and branding and custom things. But ultimately, people don't seem to be paying for these benefits, and I think artists already have enough in the way of outgoings, and a lot of them don't want to prioritize a website that nobody's visiting anyway. And I think that actually hits on the crux of the matter. How many people are actually actively or passively visiting an official artist website? And I've done a little bit of research over the past week or so, and I feel like the answer is none. Nobody's visiting official artist websites. Nobody's putting in, for me, let's say, stillhead.com and actually visiting that website. I would love them to, but it's not the behaviour that people have. And I asked people what their typical behaviour was when, for example, they discover a new artist that they like, or for example in a mix or on a radio show, or if they're mentioned to by a friend, and none of them, not a single person, said, oh, I go and visit the artist's website. None of them even mentioned Googling for an artist, which is probably the way that they would find such a website. So some of the answers I got reflected my own behaviour, which is basically I find the artist on my platform of choice, which for me is Spotify. And I check out their profile or any bio that they've got there. I check out the music that they've got there, and then I explore the links to the social medias from that point. And it's always a focus on the social platforms that I use most often, for example, so Instagram in this case. So the journey is look them up on Spotify, play some tracks, check their Spotify bio, look for an artist Instagram and follow them there, and then check somewhere like Bandcamp for any sort of merch or vinyl if it's music that I'm really into and I want to support it. A number of people told me they go to Bandcamp. That's quite a common one, and actually a lot of people, that's their first step. They'll Google for the artist on Bandcamp, and I realised that my own presence on Bandcamp as an artist isn't that great, so that's something I need to look at. A number of people told me they go to Wikipedia for a bit of history or background on the artist and any connections or details that artist might have. A good number of people go straight to YouTube because they see it as a good way to find the most common tracks and singles that people like. Some people also go to sites like Discog to explore the artist's catalogue. And the interesting thing here is a lot of people have habits where they explore sites that they're already familiar with, which are not an artist's website, basically. They explore sites that have got design patterns which won't surprise them, where they know how to get the information that they're looking for. Now, that's not to say that you don't need an official separate artist website, but here's where I think priorities have changed a little bit. What I think is a good idea these days is to consider your artist website to be a convenient and a more customizable replacement for a Linktree type website, and to allow your presence to permeate across whatever social networks you're happy keeping up to date. I'm not saying you have to have every social media network and a presence on all of them, but pick some that you're happy using and happy keeping up to date, and then do so. And I think design-wise for a main website should be kept relatively simple. I think it should be fully compatible with mobile devices, because a lot of people discover new music on the move. As well as being able to hold all the possible links and information you need. The bonus there is you can also put on, if you're doing a tour, you can put on your tour schedule. If you're doing anything special, you can customize it to fit your needs, because you have ultimately full control over it if you're not paying for like a Linktree type service. I think basically artists these days need to meet fans on whatever platform their listeners are comfortable with. We don't have the luxury of assuming that fans will come to us if we only use Twitter, for example. There's a danger of spreading yourself too thin, but ultimately if you can manage multiple social media profiles and keep them active enough to keep engagement high, then you should be able to capitalize on new listeners and fans finding your work. And I think the two things to take away from this are, firstly, nobody's visiting an official website unless it's to grab a link to find whatever social media profile or latest content they need, a link in bio type situation on Instagram, or a find my socials at xyz.com type setup. It's really an intermediary step to a platform that they're comfortable with. And the second takeaway is that social sites, profiles, bios and links on as many platforms as possible all need to be up to date and pointing to each other. So we're talking everything from Spotify bio page to Twitter header image to SoundCloud bio to Instagram links. Like, even better if you have a Wikipedia page, although that's not a luxury everybody can enjoy. I'd also suggest looking at your own website, if you have one, quite seriously, and deciding if you can either rework it into a Linktree type format to handle the behaviour of fans these days, or look at replacing it with a Linktree type solution which allows you to collect emails as well as link out to all the relevant places. I hope that this gives you some food for thought, and if you've got any insight on either your own behaviour or the behaviour of your fans when they find music, I would love to hear about that. So if there's some way to comment on this video, please do so. I've been Stillhead, and hopefully I can do some more videos like this in future for you, and they'll probably be a bit more polished and not in a room that looks like it needs to be tidied. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.